Boom, we're alive, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin today. Ethereum very quickly as a comparison. We're going to go over the S&P 500 and take a look at Zoom just because it's ridiculous. And we're also going to be taking a look at Binance, as I believe it's formed something really beautiful for us as I guess people that study the markets to take a look at. And stick around to the end of the episode because we're going to give you guys some more bear token rewards that you guys can use in our store. So we're just going to make sure I do this properly. There we go. Boom, Bitcoin on the daily. I like starting here for a few reasons. Number one, it reminds me to be patient in the outlook of the market so that I don't rush and do something silly, because very often we're prone to doing that. As a matter of fact, the market gets good at getting us to do the wrong things at the right time. So right now we're currently in phase D here on the right hand side where my mouse is now, and we are in a nice kind of ascending channel here. Now we're actually in two ascending channels, a much smaller one, and on the 4 hour you can see how that has taken shape. Now there's a few things that will become important here as we look at this story. Number one, I believe that this is actually an accumulation range like this. I believe that though this is your selling climax, your automatic rally, your first test, your spring, your secondary test. It usually comes down to the box like this, breaks out, and like here. So rising gradient channels through the trend line look a little different, and most of the time you would chart them like this, an ascending channel, and you'd look for a breakout above the box here, and again a move to 15 to 16,000 and a hypodermic top is generally what I think. This still actually means that we probably come down and test around 10,800, maybe even 10,700 really quickly, just depending on what time frame you're sitting in. So I'm keeping a close eye on Bitcoin for that reason, but more notably I think we should take a look at Ethereum as well, because it's formed something very similar. Again, we see a rising channel going through here, and then an accumulation pattern right near the top of the box, which is what we see with Bitcoin, this here. This is not a rising gradient bottom though. This is just a pretty standard accumulation, and then your resistance, your break across the creek, and then test against the creek here. So it's a pretty standard reaccumulation, which is quite powerful. So we had the SOS and now the backup phase through Ethereum, and with what we've drawn in here, we're looking probably at around $800 for the next swing on Ethereum, somewhere up here on this regression line, 700, 800. And again, you can see these things more clearly when you zoom out. So if you are interested in trading and you're looking and trying to figure out where it is that you are in the markets, please remember to always show yourself at least like a year of data. If it's available, it will help you understand where you've come from. Very, very clearly, we can see buying climax, distribution, selling climax, and then our automatic rally. So this is the start of a new accumulation range. So we know where we are in the markets, and now that we're above this accumulation range, the SOS, the backup, probably an SO, and then a bit much bigger move later on throughout the year. Well, not this year, actually, probably the next year. So I think this is really important to start also by taking a look at the VIX, which is a volatility index. This is a constant reminder that we are not alone in this ecosystem. As a matter of fact, we like to think we are. We are part of the community of the whole. So that this VIX, or the volatility index, measures the general sentiment around markets in all sectors, although it's mostly focused on the S&P 500. I use this as a general guidance for here's the pandemic. Everyone's scared shitless. Oh my God, okay, we've kind of got things figured out. We're getting into a weird space here, and we're moving into a new kind of trading range here for the volatility index, likely because are we going to have secondary lockdowns? Is Donald Trump going to be president, or is it Biden? We have no idea. So because there's all these choices, the volatility index is still quite high and actually moving above the 50-day moving average. So we scroll down here to take a look at the S&P 500, and I think this is important again as well. There's two major things that we see. Okay, a trading range that had started to form. So we saw our first automatic rally. Does this become a breakout or a break below? This is going to become very important, and one of the things one of our bear members pointed out to us today, because we always work better when we're together, is this actually rather bearish divergence taking place, as you can see here. Although we're quite a bit lower, you can see boom, 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 boom. So we've had a massive price rise and a continual RSI dip. So we would need to get a nice shoot above that trend line to produce something more valuable for us on this RSI, and we'll probably see a looking for a big cool down in the markets, I think, is important. So keeping a very close eye on the S&P 500. As you can see, I have my lower trading range set with alerts, and now I have the upper trading range set with alerts too, because when things start to happen, trading range or trading view will tell me. So that's a great way to keep track of this. Now, I just wanted to point it out, Zoom, because it's been doing ridiculous lately. It's up another 4.87% on the day as we all continue to use it for business. Look at this. Since November 2019, you have a 723% rise in Zoom. Congratulations, Zoom. You've almost done a 10x. I just wanted to point that out because we always get excited about it. But here you can also see something that I think is important and valuable to study, because that's what we're always doing. This bearish divergence. You have a falling RSI and a rising price tag. So we do expect to see some type of correction and cool down in Zoom sometime soon. If you happen to be in there, it would create a new trading range and tell of whether it's going to be distribution or another reaccumulation. And that's really based on the entire market sentiments. So guys, I'm going to finish off with Binance and the bear tokens, because you guys can use those in our store for reduced prices on services like monthly memberships. So we give them away as rewards for doing random things in the bear community. So what we're going to do actually here, right, we'll do it right now. Jump in, use this QR code, and you get 11.1 bear. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, 11.1. You get 11.1 bear. And you can save these and use them in our store later on. So thank you again for Roll for helping us produce this kind of fun thing. And we'll jump back into the Binance token. And then I also want to take a look at something very briefly at the end of the show for kind of our charitable stuff. So for the Pure of Hard Bear members, stick around for that one. On the 4 hour for Binance, we were watching this in the private bear group. Take everything away for a second, hopefully it'll make it a little clearer. There's a few things that we need to pay attention to. Okay, number one, let's look at the chart. Look at it. Yeah, that's right. Take that in. It looks like just a bunch of squiggly lines, right? So how do we make sense of this? Well, that would be a very helpful thing to know, wouldn't it? Okay, well, we'll zoom in. I think we're seeing a very prime example of something called reaccumulation. I've charted this up very clearly. Again, sorry for some of the other regression lines I have drawn in here. I'm mid-trade with this particular idea, and you guys already know that. So right now we've seen an SOS, and I think we're about to see the kind of the backup. So I actually think it's drawn LPS SOS. So what we're looking for is something like this, a dip down here and an explosion up, or a dip down back to the creek before an explosion up. One of those two sentiments would be very powerful, and even this downward sloping trend line is actually indicative of this type of reaccumulation pattern. So what I want you to do really quickly here is take a look at something on stock charts. Now, this one was written by Bruce Fraser. I believe he's one of the champs in the Wyckoff world as well. So shout out to him and source professor Hank Pruden for drawing up this one. So here we see the PSY, the BCLX, the AR, the ST, the support, the resistance, the creek. Now, this creek area, this green side is really what we're most interested in, because that's what we're looking for. So let's see. We've got, oh, yeah, here's an LPS, and is an SOS going to come in? So I entered around 20 to 30% of my position down here. I'm around 50 to 60% of my position here. I'm looking for this SOS to go all the way in. Now I have a stop loss set here because I'm already in profit, right? So even if I came down here, I would lose some of my gains, not all of them, because I took the start of my position here, second third of my position here, and I'm looking to take around the last third of my position on this final SOS because I believe it's going to produce something quite nice. I do believe this is going to take us upwards of 40 to 44,000 Satoshis on this next run, as we can see kind of indicative again by the right hand side of our volume profile. You can see there's a fat chunk of it between here, the top of the buying climax, and boom, the middle range of the last selling trading range that we had. So for those of you that already jumped in class, you can probably recognize this as the hypodermic top, something we see quite frequently as a distribution pattern. So we would have been completely out of this trade at this point, and I hope you guys were too, but now accumulating back here, getting in for a next potential run. Again, stop losses. None of this is financial advice. Do your own homework, do your own due diligence. Please, the goal of this is not to get you to listen to me. It's so that you can be more confident about what you think is happening in the markets, so that you can feel empowered. So actually, let's take a moment, and if you guys want, remember, you can sign up for the Arcane Bear membership right now for half price by going to arcanebear.com/getbear. We just updated the website. As you can see, it looks nice and sleek. We're going to be adding new features and new functions, formats, products, all that fun stuff as we go. So keep an eye on that. If you guys haven't checked out arcanebear.com yet, go do it. Because this is where we share a lot of our stuff. Now, currently, we've been updating some features here that we haven't currently, like we don't see all of cryptocurrency that aren't showing up right now. Just a little bit of updating that hasn't fully taken place yet. So thank you guys for being patient with us. And while we go through this process, and then again, remember, the goal of all this is, okay, well, look at our tagline here that says, we empower investors anywhere, anytime, the tools and resources to make educated decisions for self-managed portfolios. That means you guys are educating yourselves through the process that we go together, this mastermind, so that you can do the work to make your own decisions. That's what the goal of all this is, and I'm sure a lot of you recognize that, but I thought I'd spell it out there quite clearly on the top of our website. So let's go back in, 45-minute, here we go. Here's this beautiful chart. Does it play out this way? Does it continue into an SOS and a further continuation of this pattern, or does it break down and produce something else? Again, I've got stop losses here. I took the beginning of my entry here. Even if I get closed out, I'm technically made a little bit of profit. But either way, kind of fun. Keep an eye on that one. Again, guys, I think, oh yeah, I could have looked more at Bitcoin because there are some fun things going on here. And maybe I'll start doing try to do a live video. But for instance, guys, if we click back on the chart here, this is like the last little bit of the teaser, right? We go to the 4 hour. Yeah, see this? We saw divergence obviously taking place here. Boom, at the top. I do suspect we're going to come down and test like 10,700, 10,800 as the final box before we see that SOS. But the LPS might actually come down just a little bit lower. We don't know. But definitely if it invalidates and closes below this trend line, I'm not going to be keeping up my position open here. Even if it comes down to 9,200, we could be looking at something much different. But you would know that because we've already said this a few times too, guys, that I believe my most strongest conviction is that we get a higher SOS, somewhere that's much higher than I actually meant to draw. It's around 14, 15,000, like here and here, with a backup phase to 12. But look, we could actually invalidate and come all the way back to the lower regression line. And that's one of the reasons why we always like looking at the much larger chart, is because it gives us a lot more information at a patient, easy to digest manner, right? I think there's a lot of hype in any market. It's like, oh, you're going to make $1 million. It's like, oh, whoa, okay, stop. let's pay attention and let's try to learn something effectively. And just like anything that I've ever learned in my life, let's recognize that if it's really good, it's probably going to take a few years for you to get. Hopefully we can expedite that process by taking these macro perspective visions. I know for me, when I finally got to see like, oh, there's the big story, I see it now, it makes a lot more sense. So thank you guys for joining the private Bear Den. Again, remember, you can get half price by using Bear tokens at this moment. Kind of fun. Just again, for anyone that uses the Bear token, legal disclaimer, it has no value. It has no relationship to the company's equity or nothing, none of that crazy shit. It's just a rewards token that you can use to get discounted services, and we give it away for you guys doing fun things in the community. It has utility. You can already spend it in the store, blah, blah, legal things. Like, it's untested. If you've never used MetaMask, like, I'll do it so all on your own cordial risk because it's crazy and blah, blah, blah. This is just for experimenting with the community, guys. So I probably don't have to do that at length as I do. I just want to really clearly explain these things because it's fascinating to me, and I spend time chatting with my legal counsel, who happens to be one of my best friends, to understand better what this technology means going forward. So I'm really happy to share that. And again, you can go on Arcane Bear, follow us on Twitter. You can take a shot of this lovely QR code that Lindley helped us make up. Oh, and yeah, one last thing. I didn't want to forget this either. Take a look at this, guys. Not my bedroom room. Actually, you want to see what my bedroom looked like before I finished building the house? Boom. There it is. But more importantly, one of the Arcane Bear members today bought one of our charity NFTs, and because of that, we were able to make a loan via Kiva again to a woman named Violetta, who builds, who's got like groceries that she needed to buy and to put in her store, etc. So I'm really, really excited about that. Thank you guys all for joining us today. Steve with the Arcane Bear. It went a little bit longer than I thought, but I think we got it out there. I'm getting in an ice bath next. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting in the ice bath next. Boom.